I absolutely love this phrase, shaken together with the image of forgiveness and Jesus' call to a vulnerable and powerful love. So as I was reflecting upon this, I reflected also on how God is calling us to live as those that are shaken together to be community. And what came to my mind was, I think, a tremendous teaching by a very, very famous author. I'm sure some of you have heard of him. Next slide. And he wrote a book about what it means to build true community. And I find it really fascinating and I think instructive to all of us, no matter whether we're trying to make a relationship or marriage or partnership work, whether we're trying to make a church and school work, what have you. I even invite you to think about a situation you're in right now where there's some tension. It may not take you too long, right? But just think about a certain situation. Here are M. Scott Peck's 4 stages of building community. Stage 1. Pseudo-community, otherwise known as the honeymoon phase, right? When you first meet someone or get into a situation, it can be kind of surface at first, right? You don't really know each other. You're trying to impress each other. Differences can be either ignored or circumvented. That's the easiest stage to explain, right? Stage 2, chaos. Differences emerge. They are often resisted and later resented. We begin to focus on the other as the problem. A lot of they statements, right? Why do they always? Why do they never? Those kind of things. And subgroups, if it's a larger community, subgroups can form and kind of reaffirm those expectations and assumptions that maybe haven't been worked out as a group. And this is where feelings can start to get hurt. Everyone with me so far? Makes sense, right? So then the third stage is the dreaded phase, right? This is what we don't want to do, and yet this is what the gospel calls us to do and what even M. Scott Peck, as a psychiatrist, kind of identified. Next slide. Emptiness. That's what he calls it. Emptiness. The dreaded stage where we let go of our expectations and our assumptions, because if we just stay in our bunker, right, and then start to throw volleys out to the other side, it's only going to escalate and get worse. And so we engage in deep listening, which is really hard when you're upset, right? But we engage in deep listening, and then we get in touch with the I statements. Instead of just saying it's all that other person's fault, I'm going to own my part. I'm going to also be vulnerable enough to say, when this happened or when this took place, this behavior, this is how I felt. And once that stage of listening and connecting and vulnerable relationship building takes place, where you actually work through something, then stage 4 can occur, and that is true community. Trust can now be built because you've let your own feelings and values show, and you've also listened to where the other is at. You can grow to appreciate the differences, yet recognize your common love and commitment. And then space is created, I love this quote, for durable rhythms of communication, creativity, and commitment. Isn't that good? You create this space where you can communicate freely and then be creative and remain committed to one another. So I've been wanting to bring this up for a while, and I've brought it up at every call that I've been in or every community I've been in, next slide, because I am guilty of getting to stage 2 and then getting resentful and really even wanting to give up on certain situations and certain people. And of course, as a pastor, it grieves me to see people either in a romantic, marriage relationship or at church and school get stuck at stage 2 and not be able to move into stage 3. And I think it especially applies to a church or a wonderful school like Pilgrim, because we, I think rightly, expect it to be different here. This is not a corporation. This is not a secular club. This is a church. This is a Christian nurturing environment in the school. It should be different, and it is different. But it's not different because we're perfect. It's not different because we're better. It's not different because things always go well and we always agree on everything. Why is it different? It's because we have resources to work through the tensions and the challenges and the difficulties. It's not that problems don't exist here, it's that we have somewhere to go. Can I get an amen? Amen. We are all beggars, reminding other beggars where the bread is. We are all at the foot of the cross, saying we're not perfect. We need your love, we need your forgiveness. And then we turn to one another and say, I want to work this out with you. I want to be vulnerable. I want to let you know that I've been hurt or that I feel like I might have hurt you. And just to talk it out. So hard, yet so good. So good to do. And so as we work through these steps and these stages, that's where we land into true community. And that's the true gift that, one of the many gifts that Pilgrim offers all of us, is we're not just community because we all live in the same neighborhood, or we look kind of similar, or we all send our kids to the same school or similar schools. We have another depth of community that is waiting for us through the love and vulnerability of Jesus Christ.